listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the post-Thanksgiving episode of The Review. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast. And, folks, we got us a full house this week. Everybody here.
Everywhere.
All hands on
Brother
deck.
Wilkie, Brother John, Brother Marty, myself, OSG Phil. The team is all here because it's the holiday. It was rivalry week, and oh my God, was there some craziness.
We have all possible spellings of the name John currently.
Yes.
We do, don't we?
Well, no, we don't have J-E-A-N. We do not have Jean.
I
Jean
refuse that one.
Thank you.
That would be the
I
French
rebuke
version.
Yes. Yes. Well, and Sly's about as close to French-speaking Canada as we can get, so he might double team. His font might change as we go this.
Makes a left turn, he's there.
Yeah. I'm going to defer to Marty for the open, so I'm just going.
Well, I was going to say, guys, where do we even start this week with all of the craziness plus all of the fights?
Marty
And all the turtling?
Marty.
Okay, which part of Ohio State do you want to start with? The turtling or the fight?
Just go. I'm going to.
All the above?
Yeah, I'm just going to listen.
The only thing that bugged me with the post-game interview was the Michigan player that they chose to interview who talked about learning how to lose gracefully.
Hello, Mullings. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't he have a charge at the Michigan State game with knocking over a staffer?
Is that the one?
Why are we confusing?
think you're right.
I don't know. I just want to know who let Ryan Day call the plays again, because it was Chip Kelly calling plays during the season. All of a sudden, we get these run to the boundaries again and not throwing to your freak athletes on the outside. I'm just going to say it now. That dude don't come home with that trophy. He's probably unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think.
Yeah, it's four straight. That's four straight he's lost to Michigan. And
Well, one
to me-
legit straight.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I'll give you that. But to me, again, what has been my common theme with you guys has been rivalry games are you just can't predict them. And
Yeah, well, I
obviously
said
there was
that
a
last
freak
week.
out. Obviously there was a freak out with Ryan Day about this game, and he had to take control of it, and you saw the end result.
He was trying to prove the running game, and that was the downfall of it. I just
Yeah,
feel
this is-
bad for that kicker. That kid, oh my God.
Mm.
I don't even think most of Michigan thought that they were going to win that game going into it.
No, God. As somebody who likes a little playful banter with family and friends in Michigan, a lot of them were already throwing up the white flag. Like, we got a trophy. We don't care if you win. Granted, their voices changed significantly later in the afternoon yesterday, but I mean,
Well,
They just-
totally changed the perception of their season.
like I said last week, the Michigan strength matched up well against Ohio State's weakness. And instead of trying to exploit the outside, 14 runs up the middle and then 12 runs, but most of them were to the boundary.
Mm-hmm.
They ran the option. It worked. They got scared. I'm still not sure that quarterback should have came back in. He
Well,
got
Howard-
dinged pretty hard. Yeah.
He took
He
a
didn't-
direct
he didn't
shot
quite
to the
look the
side of his
same.
head. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing. I look at my wife and I'm like, if Ohio State made that tackle, they would have been targeting and the guy would have been suspended. It was a clean hit, though.
No,
It was
Make
clean.
no mistake.
it was.
That was definitely clean.
Oh,
But the fight afterwards, I hate Michigan taking their moral high ground. Like, you don't start any crap, there won't be any. You go try to do this cartoonish flag planting. I don't know what's going on. I'll say get off my lawn now, but when you do something, there's going to be repercussions. You try to dance in front of a camera and plant a flag, somebody's going to take offense to it. And then you need to deal with those consequences. The only person that needs to get suspended is the Franklin County officer who sprayed pepper spray at people who weren't throwing punches.
Yeah.
He hit a girl he hit a producer in the eyes.
Well, yeah.
And then he hit a
hit a
couple
TV news
players
crew,
that weren't
too.
even it's ridiculous.
Guys, I'll put this to the floor. Should the NCAA or the College Football Playoff Committee or whoever it is that runs college football, should there be a ban on allowing those flags even on the field during a game to prevent this from happening? Because that wasn't the only game that happened in this weekend.
Well, actually, who knew there was going to be copycat crimes? after the Ohio State.
It's a
Michigan
Law
game.
and Order episode.
Because you saw it happen at Chapel Hill with North Carolina State, and a big brawl happened.
Oh my God.
Arizona State plant the Trident in the A at the 50 in Tucson, and then a big fight happened. So
Yeah, they were
yeah,
like,
I don't think you can police that, Phil. There's no way you can. That's like saying, well, then you can't have the cheerleaders on the field. Then you can't have this on the field. Look, it's rivalry games, and these things happen in rivalry games, and it probably happened in the 1940s, but we just don't know about it.
you let the kid get smacked in the mouth, and then he can
Yeah.
make his own grown-up decision.
I mean, there's not like 50 cameras and drones all over, like at Ohio Stadium on Saturday, documenting all this, and camera phones. Some of the camera phone footage was very compelling from Columbus.
Yeah,
and
Ryan Day
even
looked
from
terrible
Tucson.
just standing there. On the broadcast, you saw him say to a player what happened, and the player walked
Yeah.
by him, which makes
Yeah,
me
how does he
question
not
his.
know what happened? How does he not know what happened?
Well, they were at the opposite end. After every game, win, lose, draw, they sing Carmen, Ohio to the student section.
And there's
So
some
their
video.
backs were facing the
Yes.
when they did that.
I saw some video this morning of them singing, and all of a sudden you just see a bunch of Ohio State players while they're singing snap their head backs, and then they start heading over.
As
it
they
was a
should.
spontaneous thing.
You want to play around, that's going to happen. I mean, it's just there are okay, millennials, whatever they are, Generation Z. If
Right.
you do something, other people are going to react to it. Don't be shocked when your mom doesn't protect you. I did like Jack Sawyer ripping that flag down, though. That's going to be on the highlights forever.
Yeah, and some player from NC State did the same, or from North Carolina did the same thing, the NC State's flag, and there was a one-on-one brawl on the sidelines.
But
Got out of hand. So
Ryan Day not getting out there and pushing players back is a very bad look.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Ryan Day, I have to bring this up while we're talking about Ohio State. Marty and I were talking, Brother Fox, we're talking about this before we got onto the show. Does Ryan Day survive if Ohio State doesn't make it to the championship game?
Nope.
Sly.
Come on, John. You're the other Big Ten guy. Open your mouth.
Probably not. I have a whole opening narrative here. I wanted to let you get your
Drop it in,
first,
dude.
Marty.
We don't wait. We don't wait our turn. Jump in.
First, let me say, living in Central Western New York, I think Kyle McCord would have been a welcome addition to Ohio State's offense yesterday. And instead,
they would have ran the same terrible plays, and he would have looked just like he looked last year.
I had Syracuse gear to wear today. Miraculous first season for them up there. I had Illinois gear to wear today. A miraculous season for them. Phil, because you said it last week, Brett Bielema actually got back to running the ball yesterday. So, however, because we're down here at the Capitol Theater in Portchester, I went with the Dogs in a Pile pullover, who, if there were a 12-team jam band playoff, I would say Dogs in a Pile gets a first round bye. But to your point, though, Ryan Day would likely not survive it. And as far as keeping flags on the field, I mean, from my standpoint, Ohio State and Michigan are two loathsome programs. No one likes them except for their own fan bases. I thought it was pure entertainment, to be perfectly honest.
Oh,
Yeah.
Slide Spurs is.
I love it.
Oh boy, says the Illinois guy as a part of the discussion. See, I'm just kicking back on all of this until further notice, because what do Florida State and Kennesaw State have in common? They both wrapped up 2-10. I'm
Made
just
almost everybody's list of bottom 5 teams in college football this season.
as we should.
I don't know, but I just got a bowl game idea.
Oh, yeah, of course. I
For the bowl.
That's a bowel game idea.
Yes, it is a bowel game. And so,
But John Nelson, did you see the confrontation between Mark Norvell?
oh, absolutely, I did.
Okay,
That's the most fight they had all day. You could say that. You could say that.
Because again, Florida planted their flag on the on the logo at Doe Campbell.
I'm
And
sorry. That's you do something like that. You do stupid things. You win stupid prizes, and if stupid prizes
Mhm.
end up being an all-out brawl because you decide you want to plant your flag on the opponent's 50 on top of the logo, better to do that on a grass field than on a turf field and see if the flag actually does in fact stand up and down. But no, that's the most fight they had all day. You could say that with all of the losing teams in these fights.
We got to move on. We got a whole bunch of ground to cover here, guys. And we talked a little bit briefly about Syracuse. They upset number 6 Miami 42-38. Kyle McCord had a huge game, and Miami's defense was, well, again, non-existent. And it may very well have knocked them out of a chance at the college football playoff. It certainly
Yeah,
knocked them out of the ACC championship game.
Bye.
ACC doesn't have the quality loss like the SEC does.
Just put SMU in and look, just put SMU in and get it over with. That's all I can say.
well, I tend to think differently. I think this puts ACC as a two-bid league because, again, you got to think
Yeah.
about the committee right now. The committee likes brand names, and
Mhm.
Miami is a brand name still. And if they can get Miami positioned to where at the end of the championship run they can get into the playoff, the committee is going to make sure that happens. So I can clearly see the SEC or the ACC being a two-bid league because of that. But I think it makes an intriguing ACC title game. But I love the fact that Syracuse did get the win because the comments from the coach afterwards saying, "Hey, Dabo Sweeney, we helped you out. I hope you
That was
appreciate
funny.
that." That was great. Before that, when South Carolina beat Clemson, Shane Beamer actually said, yeah, we beat Clemson today, but I'm rooting for Syracuse because I'd like to see Clemson get in the title game. So that was kind of an intriguing comments by both coaches. But yeah, I see the committee finding any way they can to keep Miami in the top 12 or top 10 to where they can get a playoff bid.
Arguably the best line I've seen in some time about Miami was today as I was reading up on some of the games.
You suck.
ESPN's David Hale called Miami the U2 of college football.
That's good.
He called them that because they always are producing something and they get by on their reputation, but they never actually really accomplish anything.
That's good.
I thought you were going to be mentioning something involving a stealth-like bomber for the United States government that got hijacked by the Cubans or something.
No, they never produce an actual hit, but they're always popular.
Popular, sorry.
Yeah, John Nelson, I don't think you're going to like me for saying this, but you may get 3 ACC teams in
Yeah.
the
What?
20.
What?
Yeah, I could if Clemson wins, they could sneak in SMU and Miami at the back end.
You really
Yeah,
want?
I agree. I agree because again, the committee likes brand names, and Clemson is definitely a brand name. And if they get in, it's hard to leave out SMU as a feel-good story.
Hey,
And they've done everything they need to do to impress the committee.
Well, the question would be,
the sad part is they ain't gonna be taking home checks if they go far into the play.
That's true.
That's true.
the question
Not that
I have-
anybody that goes to SMU needs money, but
Yeah,
Sure
the
would.
question
That's
I have
the
is, would Clemson even actually get in if they lose to SMU? Because
No, they won't get
No.
in if they lose to SMU, but if
SMU
they
and Miami would.
that can happen. But I'll tell you, I think the ACC needs to thank Syracuse for beating Miami because now there's actually going to be a crowd at the ACC championship game. Miami doesn't travel at all.
No.
I assume SMU is going to bring some people. Marty, you'd probably know a little better than I do. I've been away from that region for a while.
They don't
SMU
travel.
used to travel
They
pretty
might
well.
now. They might got some people
The
noticing.
novelty, yeah.
But their home games, you can walk up and get in.
Yeah, you play at Gerald Ford, don't you?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not a big stadium.
In front of 12 people in Sherwood Blunt, you know.
So I'm sure that the tarps on the upper deck of Bank of America Stadium will be
they'll
taken
be
off
there.
this year because Clemson's going to bring a ton of people. The novelty for SU being in a title game, I'm sure their alums are going to show up and their fans. So and
They got
actually,
the money
you've
to
got two
travel.
really good football schools going in the ACC going at it.
Yeah, props to SMU. I mean, we were all laughed when they joined the conference and took no money, and then
and then
they're in a
proceeded to
playoff
win
game, and
dominate.
they've actually owned the ACC network. It's on their campus pretty much.
Yeah, we talk about Clemson. They played their rivalry game against South Carolina. South Carolina beat them thanks in large part to quarterback Lenoris Sellers, the guy that nobody's really talked about over the course of the season, but he has just gotten better and better, and South Carolina has gotten better and better as the season's gone on. Sellers ran for 16 times for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns, on top of throwing the ball for 164 yards in that game, and he was the difference.
Well, since he's become the starting quarterback, of course, South Carolina's been on this run, and I wonder, there's talk about the Gamecocks getting into the playoffs.
No,
I think some things are going to have to really fall for that to happen.
Stop it.
But and they're just not the college football brand name.
I was gonna say nuclear winners can be part of that equation.
Yeah,
I don't know how you push them in over Ole Miss or Alabama, both of who beat South Carolina over the course of the season.
ESPN's gonna be trying to get in 4-loss SEC teams if they can.
Yeah, Alabama. I was just actually, I was more pleased than anything, Sly, about the idea that Big Spur actually went to the logo, peed on the logo on leash, and then walked off the field. I mean, he took care of his business, man.
Yeah, it's better than a flag, actually. It has a more lasting impact.
Kills the grass.
You see this spot of grass that has died at the Clemson logo.
South Carolina is a fascinating case because they're maybe the most dangerous SEC team out there that could make the playoff, but their loss at home to Ole Miss, it would be hard to explain that away if they got in and Ole Miss didn't.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. Okay, guys, I got to move on and talk about one of arguably the craziest game I think I've ever seen on television. And that happened Friday night when Georgia beat Georgia Tech 44-42.
Oh,
not 1, not 2, not 3, in 8 overtimes.
Mm-hmm.
8.
Did you guys get to watch any of that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
watched about 7 of the 8 hours of that game.
This one actually reminded me a lot of the Georgia-Alabama national championship game, and where Georgia was good enough to win the title, but just couldn't close the deal against a team that was more seasoned in that regard. And that situation sort of flipped the other night. What a year for Georgia Tech. I mean, they played a tough schedule.
Did that game have Big Ten officials? Because it kind of looked like it.
Probably, but what drama? I mean, the handshake at the end of the game was good stuff. I mean, the rivalry's renewed.
You better, if you are Georgia Tech right now, Brent Key is on a 5-year, $15 million deal. A, you better extend him. B, you better boost him and give him a raise. And C, if you're a Georgia fan, you better be now looking over your shoulder because Brent Key is all kinds of serious now. And this is the shot for the administration at Georgia Tech. Look, Brent Key has gotten you to this point where you went 8 overtimes against your in-state rival.
Basically outplayed them for almost the entire game.
How serious are you now going forward about the advancement of your college football program? Haynes King looked like he was dead. And I mean, literally, it looked like somebody had taken an ironing board. The only thing missing was the green screen and the marionette cables in the overtime to make sure that he actually got out there and was functioning as a quarterback.
I'm wondering if he got out of bed on Saturday morning.
I'm hoping not.
What the punishment he took.
I'm hoping not.
But, John, you're right. Georgia Tech's going to pony up for Brett Key. And I don't think he's looking for another gig, but I just think it's a principle of the thing that after years since after George O'Leary bringing all these gimmicky coaches in.
How we doing?
And now getting a coach in who's a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket to the core.
Waffle fraud, Jeff Collins.
And yeah, the fraud, yeah. And actually paying attention to the interior lines. I mean, that offensive line by Georgia Tech was impressive. They handled one of the best defensive lines in the country. And I mean, they just didn't deliver the knockout blow. I mean, they threw up a lot of body punches, but just couldn't get the knockout blow to land. But even the defensive line of Georgia Tech was physical, and that's the thing that Brett Key has brought to Georgia Tech is that physicality. And John, Phil, you and I, the three of us have been around Georgia Tech for over 20 years. I never remember a Georgia Tech team being this physical in the interior lines. And I think that's going to bode well for the future for Georgia Tech. And this is a team, I mean, for 25, I mean, they're my pick to win the ACC in my ridiculously early prediction here.
I said it before the season, and it proved itself to be true. Georgia Tech is a team that nobody wanted to play because if you were not at your best, they were going to jump up and smack you in the face, and that's exactly what happened against Georgia. Georgia's not a great football team. They're slightly above average, and Georgia Tech came to play.
Hey,
Georgia,
I got a mouthful of it week 1 over in Scotland. I got to see it firsthand, so I know.
That's true.
I saw it I saw the beginning of this movie. Damn it!
Florida State never recovered.
No.
No.
Got to move on here and talk about another team that's got a pretty darn good chance of making it into the playoff at this point, and that's Boise State.
Oh, yeah.
Group of 5 team. Our guy, Ashton Genty, another huge game, 37 carries, 226 yards, and a touchdown.
In case you aren't keeping score at home, folks, he's doing stuff that hasn't been done since Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why we invite him to the s'mores gathering and fireside chat at the end of the season.
And while we got Brother Wilkie here, I got to bring this up. Colorado defeats Oklahoma State in their final season 52-0 in a game that Oklahoma State looked like they wanted to be anywhere else other than Boulder, Colorado. And we talked early in the year about Mike Gundy getting fired. I think he's gone after this.
Well, if he is, it's on his it's his decision. Oklahoma State isn't going to do anything right now. Maybe his message is not as clear anymore. It doesn't have the effectiveness anymore. I don't know, but he's a former OSU quarterback. He's been the head coach for 20 years. He's the most successful coach at OSU history. And I don't think the president of the university or even the board of regents or whatever has the stones to do it. I mean, he's entrenched in that university. And if he's going to go, it's going to be on his own decision, not the university's. I'm not sure how the booster base feels at OSU, but I know they feel like they're one of the top programs in the Big 12. But this year they're
It's a left-handed compliment.
Yeah, they're certainly not a 3-9 program or 0-9 in the Big 12.
They need a little money for assistance because every time they get one that's going good, somebody poaches them.
His buyout as of our gathering here, 25, and literally it is today, and it's because of 2 contracts. 75% of what he's to be paid under 2 separate contract agreements. He's under contract A until the end of the calendar year 2028, unless his current 5-year rolling contract is extended, which it's set to every January 1st, unless given notice. 75% of his deal, $25,359,375, and it is in monthly installments until December 31st of 2028. Good contract if you can get it.
And that's the thing. Do they have the cash on hand to be able to pay him off with that contract? And I doubt they do.
Excuse me, Mr. Pickens. Mr. T-Boone Pickens, please come to the front of the office, please, Mr. T-Boone Pickens.
Hey, if yes, there is oil money in Oklahoma. There's some wealth there, but most of that goes to the school up in Norman. The school in Stillwater.
What's that doing for you?
So again, I just don't think they have the cash on hand. No, dude, they have the cojones to show him the door. It's really up to Mike Gundy if he's going to leave.
He ain't leaving. He said the old lady's not going to let him leave.
I think he's done. I think he's lost that program, and I think it's a program that could be a whole lot better than it currently is. Um, Geez, we've gone through a bunch here already, and this is just top 25 teams. Penn State took care of business. They beat Maryland 44-7. They'll be playing the Big Ten championship game against Oregon. Quack, quack. Tennessee took care of Vanderbilt 36-23. Tennessee, looking at a pretty good shot at getting into the playoff here.
Oh, yeah.
They're not playing in the championship.
I think they're in. Yeah, I think they're in.
We talked about SMU. Indiana bounced back in a big way, winning their rivalry game. And
it was Purdue. Come on.
Yeah.
Or don't.
66-0.
Yes, Purdue, per don't, per ain't. So, I mean, yeah, it's just.
It was over with before kickoff.
Correct.
It was not as close as the score indicates.
And unfortunately, you got to run it up for people to still consider you.
It was a victory that Purdue showed up.
Yes.
The Iron Bowl, game that this year didn't really mean a whole heck of a lot. Alabama gets the win in uninspiring fashion, 28-14.
But they continue to win, so they continue to be one of those marquee brand names that we talk about for this mini-series that will be the CFP.
Yeah, but they're going to have to wait and see how the cards shake out. Their destiny not in their own hands.
They'll be the 12, I'll guarantee it right now. I will say, much like what happened last year, I will guarantee you
they'll be the last team in.
Alabama will be the last team in, and they will be in the 5-12.
And they'll be holy hell.
Yes.
ESPN is not going to allow anything less.
Correct.
Here's one of the better stories of the season, and we mentioned it a little bit last week. Arizona State goes to 10-2 after dominating their rivals Arizona 49-7.
Yeah.
How good of a job has Kenny Dillingham done with that team? They were terrible last year.
They were terrible.
Having a winning record was not in my preseason bingo card.
ASU was picked to finish last in the preseason polls of the Big 12, and here they are in the title game. Yeah, they're shocked, and Cam Scatterbo has put himself up in the Heisman talk as well with the performance he's had. By the way, shameless plug here, Tim Healy, the voice of the ASU Sun Devils, will be on the College Football X this week. So we'll get a little more scoop on the Sun Devils. As they
the College Football X midweek on the OSG Sports College Football Network.
So they are probably the feel-good story of college football this year. We've had plenty on the X this year. Their opponent in the title game, Iowa State. It's who would have thought that the Sun Devils would be in a position to get in the college football playoff? But here's the thing too with the Big 12, they're probably a one-bid league. So the winner of this game is going to get in. And Brett Yomark has already been politicking that they need to be a multi-bid league, that BYU should get in. I think if it's going to be a one-bid league, there's going to be a holy hell coming from Brett Yomark. He's already got his spreadsheets ready to go. And there's going to be a lot of noise coming from the conference office in Dallas if that's the case.
How do you make the case for them? Iowa State is going to be playing Arizona State in the championship game. Iowa State beating Kansas State 29-21 this weekend.
Farmageddon.
And how do
he's going to have his. He already tried to do it last week with the Mountain West with Boise State hosting a quarterfinal game, getting the bye and hosting. He already had spreadsheets out that in head-to-head meetings that the Mountain West has only won twice against the Big 12, and both those wins were by UNLV. So he and his minions are getting all that information together, and he's going to be politicking like crazy if that's the case, where if the Big 12 gets only one team in. So look for a lot of noise coming out of the conference office in Dallas if that does happen.
I saw John with the Kembe Mutombo Memorial finger wag here. What do we have?
No. One bid league. Not in this one bid league. Think about it. Television series.
Exactly.
It's a television series. It is a mini series. You want Who Shot JR. You don't want Jenny Lee Harrison coming in to be Suzanne Summers' replacement as her sister on Three's Company. You don't want that.
Now,
You don't want Don Knotts coming in to substitute for the Ropers. You want goodbye, farewell, and amen. That's what you want here. And that ain't going to happen.
you're showing your age with those metaphors, by the way, right?
Well,
He did it to me last week on the College Football Act.
you want
it's
Rosalind
just
Shays
common
falling down the elevator shaft on LA Law. You don't want Priscilla Barnes coming in to be the new roommate.
It's a common
What
theme
network?
with me.
What network airs the Big 12? Not ESPN, right?
ESPN and Fox.
Yeah, it's a split deal. Yeah, it's a split
Yeah.
deal.
They're the only one.
So, yeah, that tells you all you need to know.
No, I still gotta go with it.
They wholly own the SEC, and then the SEC is they're gonna try to get a 4-loss team in.
Alabama.
No, they're not.
And
can't.
John, I will say Cindy Snow was a highly underrated character, but
Attaboy.
Arizona State and SMU are really interesting to me this year because going to a new league, you never know how your program is going to match up with others in the league. And both of those schools came in and are taking it to the very end. Really fascinating to see, to look back and dissect why that happened.
Well, boys, it's been great joining you guys. I got to run. Great conversation, and we'll see you down the road.
See you midweek.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again.
Yes, he's out. He's got like things to do or something.
Mm-hmm. He's a
All right,
busy
so
man.
what other games and or activities do you wish to discuss, sir?
Ooh, we've got several games we can talk about here that all of which were pretty interesting. We'll go down the list, starting with where do we want to start?
I don't know. Where do we want to start?
We'll talk about
Pop music.
Thank you, Iowa and Nebraska.
Wow.
A game that ended up with it, or began with the Nebraska Cornhuskers team captains at the coin toss not being willing to shake the hands of the Iowa captains.
Yeah.
And ended with a game-winning 53-yard field goal at the buzzer.
Don't look. What was it Jim Croce said? Don't spit on Superman's cape. Don't spit in the wind. Don't go paw the mask off of the Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Slim. Look, be nice. Be nice. There's no harm in shaking a hand. If you're going to be an ish head, then it's on you what happens.
Then shake his hand and cuss at him.
Yeah, do that. Literally. Shake his hand, stare at him in the eyes, and go, whatever colorful metaphor you want to do. We're coming after you. Look, go through the motion, shake the hand, and then lean in and say something mean, and then get after it. And then if you want to plant a flag, then that's on you. The repercussions. Stop it. I'm not going to shake your hand. That went well, didn't it?
Iowa won the game despite getting a whole grand total of 5 first downs the entire game.
Ooh, did they have
the way Kirk
offensive
Ferentz
coordinator
likes
come back?
it.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Hit the under.
Mm-hmm.
In a Brian
Win on a late field goal. Yeah.
They referenced themselves. Is what you're saying.
The whole conference went that way yesterday.
Take the under.
Not the whole conference, because you had a shootout at Wrigley yesterday.
Oh yeah, with and Sly's what?
Yeah, congrats to your Illini with a nice win.
38 on the board, I think.
Yeah, they had the ball again for 25 minutes, which they have the last several weeks. But for some reason, they keep hitting big plays. The other team has these long 7-minute drives that amount to either field goals or nothing, and it's good work if you can get it.
Can't take you anywhere these days.
Absolutely, a good one for them. Illinois probably going to a pretty good ball game this year.
Yeah, Yeah. So Sly, let me ask you this: if Illinois is going to a decent bowl, are you going decent bowling?
And no, they're likely going to the Citrus Bowl against a very angry SEC team, whoever that is, New Year's Eve, and we already have tickets for Dogs in a Pile's 4-night New Year run in Saratoga Springs. So we'll not be making it down to Orlando.
Provided you can actually drive to Saratoga Springs and actually make it there in one piece, right?
Yeah, we have to go through Maryland and up, but you get away from the snow. But great, great stuff by Illinois. Obviously, miracles or not, they got 9 wins, and we'll see if it's sustainable. No one's been able to sustain it in a century, so we'll see if this is the beginning of it.
John, got to talk about this one here.
I'm sure you
the
do.
game that'll make John Nelson just a little bit crazy. UCF losing to Utah 28-14.
Oh, yeah.
And following the game,
Yeah, here we go.
word leaks out that UCF is losing their head coach, Gus Malzahn, going to Florida State to be the offensive coordinator.
What in the blue hell are you people thinking? What in the well? Jesus Christ! All right, so you finish up 2-10.
Sit back.
You finish up 2-10, and you have a discussion. And Billy Napier was not a fan of his players planting the flag there at the beginning. And once again, grass surface, so at least you get bonus points for that. At least you didn't try to do it on a turf surface. Apparently, from what is being written by Mike Bianchi of the Coconut Telegraph, Gus Malzahn is eschewing, and that's your word of the morning, the $12.5 million that would be his buyout just to escape the contract. He got $21.5 million when he left Auburn, and then he goes to UCF. He got paid, I think it was $5.5 a year, and it was a $12.5 million buyout that he was supposed to get, and he was like, nah, fam, I'm out. How about this? We call it even, because there was a clause in the contract that said he would have to repay back a difference if the salaries didn't match up or something like that. Like if he left, then he would have had to repay monies back to UCF for this. So let me get this straight. You have a contract with a head coach that has a $63 million buyout, but you are more than happy to, in this season, and this is what I imagine this is the season of the jettisoning of the assistant coaches, and you bring in coordinators, and if nothing happens at the end of this year, then you make the decision on your head coach, because the buyout will not be $63.5 million. It'll be less, proportionally so. But you're more than happy to bring in an offensive coordinator who I will stipulate is half-pass crazy. I mean, I get it, and there's nothing wrong with being half-pass crazy as an offensive coordinator. But I wonder what his salary figure is going to be, yet you don't want to invest in keeping players around, and we have already had Florida State University players portal. They're like, I'm out, I'm transferring, I'm done. Shocker, I know. I wonder what the salary figure is going to be for Gus Malzahn, and I wonder what the coaching jettisoning bottom line is going to be for everybody that's going to be heading out the door, and then the reinvestment for everybody that you're going to be bringing in. Because if you're bringing in somebody who is making $5.5 million as a head coach, you wonder, it's not going to be obviously that much, but let's just say 2.5 to 3 to bring in a high-priced offensive coordinator. Then what happens to the coaches that leave? What are you paying them on the way out the door? Then what are you paying the new coaches that are supposed to be there, part of this new and improved wave of offensive coordinators and other coordinators, when you fired 3 coaches because of your own frailties already this season, including your wide receivers coach who was an alum in Ron Dugans? None of this makes any sense. Welcome to college football in the 21st century, and specifically in Tallahassee, Florida. I have more questions than I do answers. And I do not know if this is going to do any good, because the recruiting class, from what I understand, and the recruiting National Signing Day is Wednesday, is supposed to be one of the most subpar signing classes coming in the door. You are heavily relying on portaling individuals that want to sit there and go, ooh, I want to learn under Gus Malzahn offensively. What are you going to do defensively? What is that situation going to look like with a new coordinator? Who's going to want to come in? You're going to have to pay for a defensive coordinator. You're paying for an offensive coordinator. And you wonder if this is, in fact, coach in waiting if Mike Norvell continues to lose more than he does win. So in a situation where you're apparently throwing money against the wall and going, I don't care, and going Leroy Jenkins to the whole thing, what is it going to look like? I am intrigued. I am not optimistic about that.
That's the only situation the Cleveland Browns can make fun of. Just rip off the Band-Aid already.
This is what I'm saying. But the thing is, I don't know where the $63.5 million would come from to send Mike Norvell on his way. You go from
It sounds like they're spending that with all the little moves they're doing right now. When you add it all up, guys going out, guys coming in.
I mean, last year, Florida State, Jordan Travis gets injured. Then at that moment, you knew that they were not going to be a part of the television miniseries at the end of last college football season. You knew that. And anyone that had that aspiration was sadly mistaken in their thought pattern. I was watching with the boss when they named the Final Four. I was not shocked when they named the Final Four and Florida State University undefeated with an injured starting quarterback was not a part of it. Because as I turned to her and I said, look, there's no way you're going to let Florida State be a part of that process. And then you wonder who the four was going to be, and we found out who it was. And then the folks in Athens were mad, and the folks in Tallahassee were mad. So let's pair them together, and 24 players for Florida State are out the door, and you end up with north of 60 for Georgia in that case.
And Florida State hasn't been the same since.
No, we haven't. We have not. And the fact that I have had to invoke Daryl Mudra as a Google search 3 times on this show this year should show you all you need to know when it comes to what's going on with Florida State and the sad state of affairs, the ish show that is currently going on in Tallahassee, Florida.
Real quickly, a couple other
real quickly
before we go to break, because we have talked for quite a long time here in the first block of the show. Texas secures their SEC championship game bid with a 17-7 win over Texas A&M and a renewal of their rivalry game. Ooh. Texas also probably in the college football playoff. Notre Dame will be playoffing here in a couple of weeks. They take care of business with USC 49-35. Aside from that, we've covered just about everything here, guys. What do you say we go to break?
We got a break.
And when we come back in the second half of the show, we can talk a little bit about Conference Championship Saturday, what's going to happen there.
And Ferris State putting up 78 on Central Oklahoma in Division II.
That's good to know.
Top-ranked team in Division II. They are rolling.
It's time to toss to break, guys. So let's toss it to break. When you come back in the second half of the show, as we said, we'll talk Championship Saturday. And I'm lost where to go from here. I am completely out of it. You are listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. FOOTBALL. College football version here with the College Football Review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with 2 O's, but football with a U, FUTBOL, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports, do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second half of the show. You have made it through our...
We're going 90 minutes this week.
In the first half of the show. In this half, we're going to talk a little bit about Conference Championship Saturday. Not quite the long slate of games, but a bunch of games nevertheless. And they start on Friday night. Your first Conference Championship game, Western Kentucky at Jacksonville State, being played in Jacksonville.
Alabama.
at Amherst Stadium, but not the Jacksonville.
A Jackson.
Different Jacksonville, Alabama. And these two teams played this past weekend.
Oh, well.
Which makes it even more interesting. Jack State got the win 19-17 on a 50-yard field goal with 3 seconds left. And the rematch happening right afterwards.
I like it.
Gotta love what Rich Rod's doing at Jacksonville State. You leave the man alone. He's just kind of in a former Ohio Valley Conference market, and they've quietly, meaning Jacksonville State, they've quietly come in, and they're just doing their thing. I tip my hat to them, and he has carved out his little space of real estate, and I will constantly harp on this show that until Western Kentucky markets the individual position groups of Big Red, it's waiting for you. The financial windfall of the gear is waiting for you with Big Red and the individual position groups. It is waiting for you, Western Kentucky. Get on it.
Should mention, guys, if you want to go check that game out on a Friday night in December out in northeastern Alabama, you get in price for that game a week away, $34.
Not bad.
That's very reasonable.
That's very reasonable.
We've
I
seen
like
it in the
that
NFL when teams play the last week of the season, and then in a playoff week, it's a total wild card. Anything could happen in that game on Friday night.
Mhm.
And usually does. Yes.
Yeah, they were pretty evenly matched the first time around. So, yeah, I mean, roll the dice, put it out on the field, and let's see how chips fall.
I'm pulling for the Hilltoppers.
You're pulling for them just because you like the mascot thing.
Like the mascot, like the people.
Absolutely.
Your 8 o'clock kickoff game, the Mountain West Championship, UNLV and Boise State.
Take the over. Take the over.
Let's see a Heisman moment.
Yes.
Chance for our OSG favorite, Mr. Genty, to make a pronounced statement.
22, 88, and 28 for Genty so far this season in 12 games.
Both teams actually rank going into this game. Boise State wins. I think they're in the playoff. No questions asked.
Yeah,
they should be.
Yeah, because they'll be the Go 5 representative, and they'll be they would be the number 4 seed, I think.
And if you're willing to take the trip up to Boise, guys, you can get into the game right now for as low as $50.
That's also reasonable.
That is reasonable, but that's going to be a packed house.
Nobody has run like that since Barry Sanders. Go watch that guy live.
Yes, without question.
Mr. Fox, it's your chance to go see the Smurf turf.
That's a tough trip. I'll pass.
You mean going from Syracuse to Boise, you don't have wheels up available for you?
Yeah,
What if there's a jam band for the halftime show?
Yeah, there aren't too many jam shows in Boise, so I'll.
This one's going to be a fun one.
Tulane and Army.
Yeah, man.
A conference championship. What I like about it, it's a conference championship game played at Army's home field.
Go Army.
What's the over-under time of possession for Army in that game?
Yes. Tulane 9-3, ranked number 17 as we're talking. Army 10-1. They have this one, and then they've got Army Navy next week. Mikey Stadium get-in price is $75 as we're talking right now. Tulane is a 3.5, 48.5. Ooh. Oh, I think they blow up that total. I think they really do. I mean, we had
Army quarterback Bryson Daly might carry the ball 40 times in this game.
Oh, well, I mean, when you're averaging just under like 6.5 a carry and 25 rushing touchdowns on the season.
Beat the man.
Yes, exactly. We had Corey Glore, the play-by-play guy for Tulane, on the X last week or 2 weeks ago. And it was fun to get his perspective about what's going on there at Tulane. I'm still disappointed that when Tulane has home games at Yeoman Stadium, they are one of our league leaders in football on a budget. That's disappointing to me.
They are.
But hey, look, if you can go to Yeoman, then you go to Nandina's and get some Italian food, I'm in.
John, I'm actually going to due to the weather forecast I saw for next weekend, I would lean toward the under in that
Okay.
one. It's going to be cold. I think it's going to be a lot of running, a lot of time in possession.
A lot of time possession.
Yeah.
Plays right into the hands of the home team. I see where you're
I
going.
was going to say that could play right into Army's hands there. It could be talking about a conference championship winning team.
Yes. All right. Next.
Next, we move on to Saturday. We start things off with a 12 o'clock kick in Arlington, Texas at Jerry World. Iowa State and Arizona State. Will anybody actually come?
I think Iowa State will travel. I mean, get-in price right now is $134. Arizona State's at 2.5 and 50.5.
Yeah, that 134 is before the teams were announced because it took a little while to figure out the four-way tie, and then there was a lot of yarn.
Yes.
Charlie Day had to work on this for a couple hours.
Exactly. I want to talk about Kenny Dillingham for a second.
We talked about him in the first half of the show, but we can continue.
Well, but there's a story out there that I think speaks to Dillingham and his DNA when it comes to coaching. He has, coaches have contracts with performance bonuses and things like that. And he hit a performance bonus, I think, after his 9th win. And after the 9th win, he went to his assistants and said that they were going to be getting $5,000 to $10,000 bonuses for what they did this year. What he didn't tell them was that his performance bonus that he was getting from the university was being rolled over to his assistants. And that was where he was giving them his performance bonus as his thanks to them for being a part of the coaching staff this year. So class act there with Kenny Dillingham.
Good on him.
I don't know if he'll have a voice heading into this game, but class act out there, head coach with Arizona State, and good people with good things, and that kind of stuff happens.
Pulling for him.
Mm-hmm. Next.
I was going to say, I like Arizona State's chances in this game. A win gets them into the playoff.
Mm-hmm. Fear the fork, sir.
Your other 12 o'clock kickoff, not quite as difficult to get into this game. Ohio versus Miami of Ohio. At Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan.
Jack.
Get-in price for that one a week away, $9.
$9.
Oh my God, we actually have college football on a budget. I guess I'm going to ding that one.
For a title game.
That's going to be our only one.
For a title.
Yeah,
although the Big 12 one might end up hitting that by the time we record the X.
True.
A couple of years ago, I would say it's in Detroit. It's not worth it, but I've heard Detroit's undergone quite the renaissance in the downtown area. So there's some adventure and opportunity there if you want to make the trip.
Just be careful driving.
I suspect a lot of folks from Ohio are going to be in Michigan next weekend.
Just remember to fill up in Toledo. Don't spend a dime.
Miami of Ohio 1.5 and 44.5. It's indoors. I'll take the over.
Next game, your 4 o'clock kickoff, the SEC championship, Georgia and Texas for the rematch. This one's technically not a home game for Georgia, but it's being played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. You're getting price for that a week away, $275 right now. And I know for a fact this game's already sold out.
Absolutely.
Hey, just asking, when you guys open the roof down there, does anything fall?
Not yet.
What's your definition of anything?
I'm just saying, like, one of my coworkers was dangerously close and had a much used photograph that was all over the internet and everybody's broadcast.
When Jerry World
pieces.
Jerry World opened the roof for the first time in a couple of years. You end up with heavy metal falling from the top to the bottom. But
they open the field up at Mercedes-Benz a little bit more frequently than Jerry World does. So I don't think things have rushed it out just yet.
Texas 2.5, 49.5.
Who you guys got in this game?
Ooh, Sly, what are you going here?
I have a hard time believing Georgia's going to lose in Atlanta. I mean, you live down there. I don't see Texas coming in there and doing it, despite being favored.
I want to see Texas do it just to see how far ESPN's going to go.
Oh, absolutely. Alabama and Georgia getting in as the 11 and the 12.
I'm really curious to see how Georgia comes out and plays after that long game on Friday night. I mean, granted, they get an extra day. It's they played on a Friday night, although it finished early on a Saturday morning.
That's true.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that game over yet?
Yeah, right. Somebody else just scored.
But the flip side of that is Texas really, outside of the game against A&M that they played this past weekend, really hasn't beaten a team in the top 25.
And I think that's the hook here. That's why I'm taking Georgia. I'll take Georgia outright in this one. I don't know if they get to the total, but I'm taking Georgia outright.
They go over clean.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Much like LA Knight to Shinsuke Nakamura on the weekend.
I haven't been impressed by the Bulldogs yet. I think Texas might have a little bit of a rabbit in their hat.
Careful. I was going to say, careful where that rabbit was.
We know where they're pulling it from.
Yeah, thank you. Much like shingles, Kirby doesn't care. So that's why I think that I think outright. I think Georgia outright.
I have a question for you guys. I'm looking here at the college football schedule on ESPN.com, and right after the Georgia game, it has TBD versus TBD.
Yeah, I'll go with TBD.
No, I disagree. TBD is definitely going to win.
True.
7:30 kickoff on ESPN. The question is, what game is that supposed to be?
What conference? What conference is listed?
Supposed to be the Fun Belt title game.
Ah, okay. We know what the Fun Belt title game is.
Right.
That'll
Let's break a story here. Tell us.
That'll be Marshall traveling to beautiful Lafayette, Louisiana to take on Louisiana.
The boss would know that one, yeah.
That cheer you just heard came from the lovely bride, an alma mater of the Raging Cajuns, and is happy her team's playing for a championship.
In the where is it? Hang on just a second. There's an actual sponsor. The Hercules Tires Fun Belt Football Championship in Louisiana.
Hercules.
Second time in the 7-year history of the event, the Sun Belt West Division champion. This is from the Fun Belt, their own selves. 10-2.
I want you guys to know that we were a 2-point conversion away from it being Georgia Southern versus Louisiana. But Marshall escaped with a 2-point win over James Madison in double overtime this past weekend.
So, yes, the 2024 Hercules Tires Fun Belt Football Championship is going to be at Cajun Field in Lafayette, Louisiana, 7:30 Eastern Time. And let me see if there actually is a line here. So, hang on. I'm checking composites and things with Juicebox purveyors to see if it actually does exist. So
I'm going Raging Cajuns just because I like to cheer against Marshall.
Yeah, I'm down there.
They've been pretty good this year. They're 9-3 going into the game, and have pretty much controlled their part of the Sun Belt. I like them going in as well.
Good to know that they are in control of their Sun Belt. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Let's see.
I'm trying to look here and see if I can go to a different website to find out a little bit more.
Boy, the Belt's just not getting the respect. They don't even got them on ESPN as playing in the game, and nobody's got a spread.
They don't. Absolutely not.
Maybe ESPN's trying to offload that to another network, which is why they haven't put it on the website yet.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Really?
Are they going to put it on Plus or something?
Probably. Let's see. Conference winners.
Will the Simpsons be part of it?
Oh yeah, Los Simpsones, absolutely, yeah. So why is there this is a national emergency. Why is it that we do not have Sun Belt Conference championship game juice boxes here?
I'm upset about this.
This is a national emergency that has to be addressed.
I cannot stand the denigration of my conference.
I mean,
pathetic display of mafishness.
Yes. Let's see.
But they're still the worldwide leader.
Yes. Right now, this is just straight up winners. This is not the game in and of itself.
They're too busy airing the same commercial 15 times in a row between segments.
Check.
I will say I went to go look at CBS's website, CBS Sports website, to see what they have on the schedule as well. They don't even have that game on the schedule.
Wow. This is well, at the beginning of the season, Louisiana was a -150 to win the conference. and that is about as close as we've come here. So Louisiana was a minus 150 at the beginning of the year, but we do not have a point spread. We neither have a point spread nor a total in this game. This is a national emergency. Everybody, get your civil defense helmets out. We need to come up with a solution here.
Is this game being played behind the Iron Curtain?
I believe so.
This is.
Yeah, so the L in Louisiana is backward, so it's a backward L, and everything is now in Cyrillic.
I will grant you that it takes a little while to get to Lafayette, but it's not that far out of the known universe.
I mean, come on now. I mean, Cher's got to get on this. We got to figure out what's going on. But I would anticipate that Louisiana is a prohibitive favorite, probably something close to double digits.
Check back midweek on the X and see what it is.
Exactly.
Yes, and we've got 2 more games to go through here on Conference Championship Saturday this coming weekend. Your ACC Championship, excuse me, the All Coast Conference.
I think you were
Clemson
right.
and SMU at Bank of America Stadium in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. Your get-in price for that one, according to CBSSports.com, $65.
57 according to the 4-letter. So apparently the 4-letter has found cheaper seats.
Yes, they did.
SMU 2.5, 54.5. It's supposed to be 31 degrees at kick. I'm going to go SMU. I'm going to go with the Coeducational Institution of Higher Learning in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
I'm going to make my wife happy and also pick them.
There you go. Slide.
I'm picking Clemson in a home game.
Whoa!
With the pedigree of playing in these big games for a number of years now.
You're just like saying Kate Klubnik. I know you.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to use that picture of a certain coach running next to the L in Clemson.
Clemson only about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Charlotte, so that does give them a little bit of an advantage, much like Georgia playing their championship game in Atlanta.
Oh, they're
However,
known that
Clemson's
stadium.
performance in big games of late, not exactly setting the world on fire. I like SMU in this game. I could be wrong, but I think it'd be the playoff will be a lot more fun with SMU in it.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
I like the over in this one, actually, more than anything.
In your final championship game on Championship Saturday, 8:00 kickoff in beautiful Indianapolis, Penn State and Oregon. Quack, whack.
Oregon 3.5 and 50.5. I'm just going to sit back and listen to the B1Gers on this show talk about it.
Yeah, Phil's stunt double definitely takes the L in this one.
Yeah, speaking of coaches who have not had his team perform when it comes to a big game, James Franklin has a track record of that.
He's gonna turtle.
Oregon is probably would you guys agree that Oregon's probably as close to a complete team in college football as we have this year? Everybody else seems to have a few flaws.
It's what their record says.
Yes, exactly. Slide.
It is tricky in the new Big Ten to go from east to west or west to east. To me, this game is intriguing because of the athletic matchups. Penn State's defense is particularly athletic. They may be one of the few teams in the country that can, speed-wise, even be on the same field with Oregon's offense. To me, I don't know whether Penn State can score enough to stay in this game, but it's tough making that trip from out there to the Midwest. It's worth a watch. Oregon should win, but you never know. Penn State is they can sort of let it rip this weekend.
I think I'm going to try to watch the Sun Belt Championship in the Iron Curtain television. Try to find feed on 3CP1 to watch Fun Belt. That is what I'm.
The problem is when Penn State lets it rip, it usually runs down their leg. Franklin's gonna be wearing Depends on the sideline, and it's not gonna be pretty.
Dark slacks.
Yeah, we've already seen that happen with one Penn State coach.
Images I didn't need to wrap up this show.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
I got a clear memory of Joe Pa wearing different khakis after halftime.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think if we're in front
Google
of
that one, kids.
I think if we're in front of a TV Saturday night, there's a pretty good chance that game that nobody seems to be recognizing as existing is going to be the game that we watch.
We almost have football on a budget, by the way, in 1AA. Intriguing matchup, 2:00 at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium in Brookings, South Dakota.
Oh, wait. Say the name of that stadium one more time.
Dana J. Dykhouse. Dykhouse, I tell you. 2:00 Eastern time. 9-4 Montana at 10-2 South Dakota State. Marty, pick up that cup, brother.
What's the price?
$13 to get in the door.
That's a ring-a-ding-ding at twice
That
that price.
is a ding, ding, ding multiple times over. Sly's got to find one of those.
You are a football fan.
Yes.
That is going to be a knockdown dragout.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah. Sly's got to find one of those pseudo glasses in his hotel room there.
You're going to see dudes playing tough, nobody hitting Heisman pose.
There he goes to get the glass. There it is. Oh, there it is. Even better.
The Wegman Seltzer.
He goes aluminum.
Yeah.
He goes aluminum, but seriously, it is a second round matchup in a playoff system. 1AA, how many times can you sit there and say that you've been to Brookings, South Dakota to go try and shake hands and or find Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium? $13. Round number 2.
That's criminal that it's that low.
$13 to see Montana and South Dakota State. Oh my God, go. That's all I can say. Legitimately, that's all.
Just a high five, Monty the Grizzly.
Yes.
I'll go in the OSG jet.
There you go.
There's probably a landing strip close by.
We'll have it on
There's a
standby
landing
for you.
strip next to the Dyke House.
Marty, you know that's not.
Thank you for teeing that. This isn't a political show; it's a sports show, and I'm talking about airports and stadiums.
Yes.
Changing the subject here quickly.
Why?
Trouble. One last thing before we wrap things up. Tip of the hat to Mac Brown for a long and storied career. He has coached his last game, a loss to North Carolina State. He is fired at North Carolina. The search is on for the replacement there. I'm sure we'll see Mac probably resurface on ESPN next season.
Absolutely.
But well done, sir. A good career, lots of success, and best wishes to you.
Class act.
Guys, you got anything else? Any other things you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
As much anger I gave to Ryan Day this week, I do got to give him props for one thing. The radio voice of Ohio State, his son plays for Iowa, and senior day was Friday night, and he wasn't going to be able to call the game. Ryan Day went into his own pocket and made sure that he got a flight back in time to call the game. So good on him for that.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool.
That puts that guy's broadcast record up pretty high for calling games. So congrats to him for that, but stop turtling.
And just go ahead and go natural. Grecian Formula, I'm sure you've got an NIL deal with him. Just go ahead and go natural. Don't worry about
chip call plays.
Don't worry about the lands.
Don't run to the boundary.
Yeah. Don't be Franco Harris with the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, guys, time to put a wrap on things. It should be an interesting week. Make sure you tune in midweek for the College Football X. You heard Brother Wilkie talk about it in the first half of the show. It's a can't miss podcasting excellence. For Brother John Fox, for Brother John Nelson, and Brother Marty, I'm Brother Phil. We are part of the OSG Sports podcasting team. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and hope you enjoy Conference Championship Saturday. Make sure you keep your ears open, download, subscribe, do all the other social media things that you can. And guys, I'm going to get us on that Blue Sky thing, I think, too.
There you go.
So with that saying, time for me to wrap things up and say goodbye because I'm running out of ways to try to get to the point where I can
say goodbye, Phil.
Goodbye, Phil.
Please like and subscribe.